Have you ever thought about a form of devotion so intense it completely changes how you look, what you eat, and even how you grieve? Well, that's exactly what the Nazirite vow was. And what's wild is, this path wasn't just for priests or prophets. It was for any ordinary person who wanted to make a truly extraordinary commitment to God.
So to really get our heads around this, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the vow itself, then dive into the 3 super strict rules. We'll look at what happened if you messed up, see the huge ceremony at the end, and then wrap it all up with this beautiful blessing that comes right after.
And that question right there, what did it mean to be set apart? That's the whole point. The Nazirite vow was a way to answer that question with your entire life. For a set period of time, a man or woman could choose to live in a state of unique consecration, stepping outside of their normal life to focus completely on that dedication.
All right, so let's dig in. What did this special vow actually involve? Who could even take it? And what was the fundamental promise they were making?
So the word Nazirite itself comes from a Hebrew word that means to separate or to consecrate. And the key thing to remember is that this was totally voluntary and temporary. You weren't born a Nazirite, you chose to become one for a specific amount of time, basically marking yourself as holy for that period.
Now, this consecrated life wasn't just some internal feeling. Oh no. It was defined by 3 very clear, very demanding rules that basically dictated the Nazirite's entire existence from sunup to sundown. Just think about how all-encompassing this was. First, no products from the grapevine. That means no wine, which was a huge part of celebrations and even daily meals. Second, their appearance physically changed, making their vow obvious to everyone they met. And third, and this is a big one, they couldn't even mourn their closest family members in the usual way. Talk about being set apart.
And this quote just nails it. The hair wasn't just, a hairstyle choice, it was a public statement. It was like wearing a crown that said, I am living under a sacred promise. It was the visible, tangible symbol of their dedication.
But life happens. It's messy and unpredictable. So what happened if the vow got broken? Not because you wanted to, but by a complete accident. Well, the text lays out a very specific and pretty dramatic scenario.
Just picture it. You're being so careful, following all the rules, and then someone just drops dead right next to you. It's not your fault at all, but boom, your vow is broken. That consecrated hair, the very symbol of your dedication, is now considered defiled.
And the consequence for this? Wow, it was brutal. It wasn't just a minor slip-up you could apologize for. All the time you had already put in, weeks, months, whatever it was completely wiped out. It didn't count. You had to start the whole clock over from day one. That just shows you how seriously this idea of ritual purity was taken. And getting back on the path required this whole detailed ritual. On day 7, you shave off the defiled hair. Day 8, you bring offerings to atone. Only then could you reconsecrate your head and bring another offering to formally restart your vow. It was a serious process.
Okay, enough about what happens when things go wrong. What about when it all goes right? For those who actually made it to the finish line, there was this incredible, elaborate ceremony to mark the end of their sacred journey.
And yeah, this was no small thing. The Nazirite would bring a whole collection of offerings to the sanctuary, and each one had a specific job: to atone for any unintentional sins, to show complete devotion, and to restore fellowship with God and the community. It was this huge act of worship to close the books on the vow. The ceremony itself was just packed with symbolism. The hair, that crown of dedication they'd grown for so long, is finally shaved off and offered up in the fire. Then, after a final ritual with the priest, the Nazirite could finally drink wine again, which officially marked their return to normal life, full circle. So, right after all these intense personal rules for one person, the text makes this fascinating turn. It just zooms all the way out and gives us a blessing that's meant for the entire community. It's this amazing shift from one person's vow to God's promise of blessing for everybody.
And this part is so significant. This isn't a suggestion or a nice idea. It's a direct command from God to the priests. He gives them the exact words to use when they bless the people. It's like a sacred formula for inviting God's favor.
The blessing starts with this incredible foundation. To bless you means to provide for you, to give you good things. And to keep you means to guard you, to protect you. So right off the bat, it's a prayer for both provision and safety.
I just love this next line. The idea of God's face shining on you. What a powerful image, right? It's all about God's favor and goodwill being pointed directly at you. It's a request for his radiant, positive attention and his undeserved kindness.
And it all comes together here. To have God's face turned toward you means you have his full, undivided, and approving attention. And the result of that? Peace. But the Hebrew word here is shalom, which is so much bigger than just no fighting. It means wholeness, completeness, and total well-being in every part of your life.
So when you put it all together, this ancient law and this timeless blessing, it really pushes us to ask a bigger question. Sure, the specific rules about hair and grapes feel like they belong to another time. But that core idea of setting yourself apart for a higher purpose, that's timeless. And it leaves us with a challenge. In our world, right now, what does radical, visible dedication really look like?